welcome back to the channel. This is Bad Wolf Creations, and today we are talking about how D&D, playing in D&D campaigns, improved my art. I know you're sitting there, and you're like, what? What do you mean playing D&D improved your art? That doesn't involve drawing, that doesn't involve whatever. That's straight up just a game for nerds, or, you know, it's just a game and you're playing with people. There's no way that'd be what did it. But you know what? That's what improved my art. If I'm being real. That's what really took it from being it's okay to being pretty good, or at least way better than I was. So, and it was quite the leap. And really it jump-started everything that has come out of this YouTube channel, everything that's coming out of my business, everything. So let me tell you how. Let me tell you what I did in D&D to improve my art. First off, you love making characters. Everybody loves making characters. Well, I was in my first D&D campaign in a very last minute thing, and I did not get to make a super extravagant character, but I still made one nonetheless. We were playing a sort of mixed up one, kind of inspired by School Bus Graveyard. And I won't go too in depth as to like what all was going on in the campaign, as like it's kind of dissolved and didn't really end too terribly well, friends wise, but you know, it's been disbanded for a while, but I'm still going to talk about it in this context because I feel like it's very important to me. It's very important to me. So, we started this campaign. I was brought in last second. We just needed one more player. My DM just needed one more player, and the DM was a friend of mine. And so, instead of having to make up a whole NPC, they gladly added me to the team. I created a fluffy-haired, blonde, non-binary person named Charlie, and we began. This kid is nuts. That's what my character kind of was. But, you know, they had their own quirks about them, such as loving their mugs, specifically wanting to beat the crap out of people with a frying pan, and only a frying pan, and plants occasionally. Also cooking. They like to cook. And the reason that we even had the like to cook one as one of my things, and the reason for the frying pan thing, is straight up just because when we were doing classes, it's not your typical classes. It was literally just like, hey, your parents because it was based off of like in school, so our characters were all like high schoolers, and it's like, okay, so based off of what your parents' jobs is kind of gonna be what your class is, and you could have just them have the same job and just have the one class or whatever, or you could multi-class. So I did a whole little thing, and one of my character's mom was like a cook, expert chef. Kind of reminds you of that, the orange hair mean lady from Food Wars picture. If I remember to put it, it'll be here, okay? But yeah, so that was kind of my character. A little rambunctious, a little bit, whatever. And so, first session hits in, and I don't have a reference sheet for my character at all, starting off. Nothing. nothing, and it bothers me. It irks me. Like, I built this character, like I built all the stuff leading up to it, but I didn't have anything for appearance. So that whole appearance thing was literally made up in the session. I was drawing in the session, in between turns, drawing what was happening, and I thought, well, this is really fun. I'm enjoying this. And then eventually, next session hits, and I'm like, you know what? That was really fun. I think I'm gonna challenge myself to draw one piece of art during each session. That's not to say that it had to be finished, but it was just simply, hey, I'm gonna do this during a session. We're gonna see how it goes. And so I did. And at first, it wasn't the best, but I was experimenting more with textures and things to kind of get my environment going how I wanted it to. All of the descriptions were sort of helping me mind map out the background and what was going on at the time. It allowed for a lot of really funny moments. It allowed for a lot of dynamic, like, poses. And it was just overall a really fun experience for that first time around, but it wasn't quite where I wanted it to be yet. So, yeah, I did that and I was like, alright, cool. Well, now I have something of color for my character. And as your character develops, you add more and more to it. So I was like, hey, what if I just, like, what if I do it again? So the next session hits, and I'm like, I'm doing this again, let's go. We get into some nightmare realm, we get attacked by a bunch of creatures. It's absolutely terrifying, and we have our first, like, kind of bigger fight. And in this bigger fight, Charlie's wielding a knife, and we're with our ragtag group of teenagers, and we're about to go fight this giant heckin' monster dude. Huge. Granted, I did not draw the monster. I was not confident enough yet to draw the monster. I wasn't there with that. But what I did do is I drew kind of Charlie looking out towards the monster, like kind of prepared to fight, but also like kind of scared. And I drew that, and when it came to that, I had to think about, well, I had to think a lot about lighting, and I had to think about other ways, because in my brain I was like, I want to try to convey this sword as metal. I want to really focus on textures in rendering, and I want to focus on the different light levels and how there's like a gradient to a lot of different things sometimes. Like, because the light just hits it in so many different ways. You have like the subtle gradients of like your soft lights and shadows, and then you've got your really harsh ones. And I went my own kind of way about that with different brushes. And I'll show you guys in my process video, because I'll do a process video at some point. Or I'll explain my process at some point, I suppose. Because technically you're seeing it now. Granted, some of these videos aren't as well put together because I couldn't figure out how to screen record on my tablet in advance. So some of them are a bit kind of like just Procreate's time lapse in it, which is cool, but like I'm trying to be better with that because AI and stupid shit. So we'll have a video about that too. Don't worry about it. No, but that's another video for another day. So I did that, made that piece. That was really cool. And, you know, I developed a little bit better of rendering process, how I want to do my character, and how I like to do my lighting and my shadows. The next session, I'm told before the session that my character, Charlie, towards the end of the session, is going to be kidnapped by our group of big bad people, and a shapeshifter doppelganger is going to replace my character, and I get to play as that. until they figure it out. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to do something really fun with this one. And I'm going to draw them in this creepy hallway where my character was technically, like, kidnapped and swapped out right then. So I drew this creepy hallway, and I drew my character, Charlie, or, well, the doppelganger version, kind of staring menacingly and holding a spear. And everyone knows that my character does not use a spear at all. But they just didn't really catch on. Like, we were dropping hints left and right, but that's not the point. I added more backgrounds into my stuff, and, you know, we had a different vibe going. We had a different lighting thing. It was just overall a lot of fun. I was really enjoying it. I think that's what made practicing like this so easy, is because I was enjoying it, and it's something I did in between turns. Like, if you have a large D&D group, if you can pay attention and draw at the same time, if you have a large D&D group, or like things just take forever to roll or something, there's usually a huge chunk of time for a D&D session. Huge chunk of time laid out. So there's a lot of spaces where there's kind of a little bit of a lull, and for you and your character, a lot of a lull. So I just kind of used that space and that time to just draw and keep drawing. Like, I would be there, I would be present, I would be thinking about everything as I'm going, but I would also just straight up be drawing things. There was one, and I didn't finish every single drawing every time, but it was enough to get me thinking a little bit faster on my feet to some extent, because, well, if I did want to finish it, I would have to finish it within our 3-hour session, because we only did 3-hour sessions. So if I wanted to finish it, then I would have had to finish it then in that time frame. So when I felt like putting a time crunch on myself, I did. But also at the same time, I kind of was being a little lax and getting to do stuff while I had fun and being entertained with my friends. And yeah, no, it's a really great way of doing this. And I know that some people are like, well, I don't have friends, I'll have whatever. And that's understandable too. I'm sure there's other ways that you can kind of like come up with your own stuff. Like, maybe you like to, I don't know. I'm sure there's just other ways you can come up with your own stuff, but this is just kind of what worked for me. You know, and you can take some of the advice outside of context of, oh, I'm playing D&D, and just kind of listen to my other kind of advice that you're getting. So, but yeah, I did that one. There were a couple ones I didn't finish, like I said. There were a couple rough sketches here and there that were just kind of like, okay. You know, Charlie cooking with one of friends in this, like, mansion thing. There was one of Charlie at a ballroom thing, because we had a little, like, once-over session where it was like, oh my god, dating some of the NPCs, anybody? A little bit. And so it was kind of interesting and funny with that. But I tried to put a lot into that, because I was like, oh, they'd be dressed up nice. And I had to think about what they'd wear in that context and stuff too, as like the days go by and things change. So that is like another whole thing on that. It's like you get thrown in these situations, you don't know what situation you're getting thrown into, and you don't know what other people are going to do. So there's also like an element of, I don't know what's going on yet, but I'm going to try to draw. And I think a little bit of that is kind of exciting, because it's like you don't know what you're going to do when you sit down and you start pen to paper. You really don't until the session gets going a little bit. You know, it gives you enough time to warm up, gives you enough time to sketch out a couple things, and then you just go for it, honestly. That's what I did. Granted, you don't have to do anything how I do it. 100% cool. If you got something that works for you, great. Keep doing what you do. But if you don't, and you have buddies who are interested in playing D&D, or you already got D&D sessions going up, you should do this. You should 100% do this. And any other person that plays D&D will tell you that. Literally anybody. Literally anybody. But yeah. And then, obviously, there's some pieces that are kind of like, I never finished. But it worked more on kind of character interactions. It helped me get a grasp of more character interactions. I had Charlie going head to head with a demon inside of a dagger that they had picked up. So they were fighting that demon in their mind, and I drew that out, and I had to come up with a whole new idea of what that demon would look like. And so I was like, okay, well, we're gonna go with this. This is really cool. And I didn't finish it, but I sure had a lot of fun drawing it and trying to come up with stuff for it. And it ended up being really good. My line art had gotten better. My sense of color and space had gotten better. I just overall did better compositions too. I had another piece that I didn't finish, but I finished the sketch of, because it was the last session we did before everything fell apart. And I really like that one. Honestly, sometimes I think I might just go back and finish that one. Because it was really cool. It was my character holding a knife and looking absolutely insane, because by now Charlie had lost their fucking sanity and it was gone. So they're just staring with their bleeding hand, holding a knife and glaring at the camera. I even put some motion blur on it, and that was just the sketch. And it was gonna be so cool. I don't know exactly how I was gonna continue like the motion blur for the rest of it, but it was gonna be really cool. I could tell. And I started doing other sessions and other things, and it just really makes you think of like different perspectives and like weaponry too. It helps with items and such. It overall just kind of transforms your thing, because you just have a lot that you have to think about all at the same time. It gives you sort of a way of unpredictability in what you're gonna end up drawing, but also gives you something to draw, so you don't just sit there staring at a page not knowing what to do. It makes you have to think about character interactions and how you want to include that, and forces you to include that or risk the composition. It is like kind of a gritty game, so there's a lot going on usually, and everyone else has characters. Plus, on the plus side, if you do interactions with your character and another character, you also get to do art of their character. And if they're not an artist, they will love that. Love that. And it's like a fun little gift you can give to your friends, or a fun little thing you could be like, hey guys, it's the end of the session. Guess what I drew? I did that all the time. It was just really good. Now, I haven't been in a D&D session in a hot minute, but again, like I said, D&D improved my art. D&D can help you with yours. And even if you don't want to do it that way, just think about what I talked about here at the end. Because with all that combined, that's kind of what put enough pressure on me for me to be able to just improve. And with that, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe down below to stay tuned for more content and more of my face. Well, not my face, but my cute little avatar's face, or whatever I put on here. I don't know. Anyways, stay tuned for more fun stuff to come, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. You guys got this. Keep creating, and I'll see you guys in the next video.